The fortuitous encounter. The last student had left Nisha Sharma's dance studio 20 minutes ago, but she remained practicing alone in the mirrored room. Dancing was her sanctuary, the only place where medical bills, overdue rent notices, and her mother's deteriorating health couldn't touch her. She spun gracefully, her reflection multiplied in the surrounding mirrors, each image showing a different facet of exhaustion she tried to hide. At 28, Nisha's dreams of opening her own performing arts center had been indefinitely postponed. Her mother's leukemia diagnosis had redirected every spare rupee toward treatments that insurance wouldn't cover. Teaching Bharatanatyam and contemporary dance at 3 different studios barely kept them afloat. Her phone buzzed with a reminder. The charity gala at the Rosewater Hotel was tonight. Her friend Priya had secured her a catering position, extra money they desperately needed for her mother's next round of treatment. 2 hours later, Nisha navigated between elegant tables and a borrowed black uniform, balancing a tray of champagne flutes. The ballroom glittered with Mumbai's elite politicians, film stars, and business magnates gathering for some environmental foundation's annual fundraiser. "That's Vikram Malhotra," whispered another server, nodding toward a tall man in an impeccably tailored navy suit, 35, unmarried and worth billions. His company's revolutionizing renewable energy storage technology. Nisha glanced at the man, noting his serious expression as he spoke with an older gentleman. Something about his rigid posture suggested discomfort beneath the confidence. "His grandfather founded Malhotra Tech 60 years ago," the server continued. "Rumor has it the old man is threatening to transfer controlling shares to Vikram's cousin, unless he settles down soon. Apparently, family legacy means everything to them." Nisha moved on, focusing on her job. She needed this night to go perfectly. It did. 3 hours into her shift, disaster struck. A drunken guest stumbled backward, colliding with Nisha, her tray tipped, sending champagne cascading onto the nearest person, Malhotra himself. Time seemed to freeze as golden liquid darkened his expensive shirt. The surrounding crowd gasped, smartphones appearing to capture the moment.
Ouch.
Nisha's heart plummeted. This would cost her the job. Money she couldn't afford to lose. "I'm so sorry, sir," she stammered, grabbing napkins from her apron. Before she could dab at his shirt, a woman's voice cut through the murmurs. "There you are, darling. I've been looking everywhere for you." A striking woman in a red dress approached, clearly addressing Vikram, who looked momentarily confused. "Sonali," he acknowledged, his expression darkening. "I didn't expect to see you here." "Surprised," she purred, camera flashes intensifying. "I thought we could discuss reuniting. The papers would love it, power couple back together after your little ... break." Nisha, still frozen in mortification, noticed Vikram's subtle wince. The woman, evidently an ex-was, creating exactly the scene he didn't want. Without thinking, Nisha stepped forward, gently touching Vikram's arm. "I'm sorry for spilling champagne on you, sweetheart," she said, loud enough for nearby ears. "Let's get you cleaned up." Surprise flickered in his dark eyes, quickly replaced with calculation. He slipped his arm around her waist. "Of course. Let's go." To his ex, he added, "Sonali, you remember my girlfriend?" "Nisha," she supplied, heart racing at her own audacity. The woman's perfect smile faltered. Cameras continued flashing as Vikram led Nisha away from the crowd through a service door and into a quiet corridor. Once alone, he released her and stepped back. That was ... unexpected. "I'm so sorry," Nisha blurted. "I shouldn't have presumed. I'll explain to everyone it was a misunderstanding." "No," his voice was firm. "You just saved me from a very uncomfortable situation. Sonali has been trying to leverage our past relationship for publicity since her acting career stalled." He studied her with new interest.
What?
"You're not really catering staff, are you?" "I am tonight," Nisha answered honestly. "Normally I teach dance." Something calculating entered his expression. "Perhaps this fortunate accident could benefit us both. I have a proposition for you, Ms. Sharma. Nisha Sharma, Ms. Sharma." He handed her his business card. "Come to my office tomorrow at 10 a.m. I believe we might be able to help each other." As he walked away, Nisha stared at the embossed card in her hand, wondering what kind of proposition a billionaire could possibly Offer a dance teacher drowning in detand, why she felt both terrified and intrigued by the possibility. Terms and conditions. The Malhotra Tech headquarters loomed above. Mumbai skyline, a gleaming spire of glass and steel that reflected the morning sun. Nisha smoothed her one good interview dress, a simple teal cotton that had seen better days, and approached the security desk with trepidation. "I have an appointment with Mr. Malhotra," she said, presenting the business card he'd given her the previous night. The security guard's skeptical glance swept over her modest attire before he made a call. To her surprise, she was promptly escorted to a private elevator that whisked her to the top floor. Vikram's executive assistant, a poised woman named Divya, with sharp eyes that missed nothing, led her into a spacious office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Arabian Sea. Ms. Sharma, Vikram greeted her, rising from behind an expansive desk. Today, his tailored charcoal suit made him look even more intimidating than he had at the gala. "Thank you for coming." "Your card said it was important," Nisha replied, trying to project confidence she didn't feel, "though I'm still not sure why I'm here." He gestured to a seating area where tea service awaited. Once they were settled, he studied her with unnerving directness. "I had you thoroughly researched last night," he stated without preamble. "You what?" Nisha nearly choked on her tea. Nisha Sharma, 28, graduate of the National School of Performing Arts, currently teaching at 3 different dance studios while caring for your mother, Anjali, who was diagnosed with leukemia 18 months ago. Your father passed when you were 12, leaving little inheritance. You're approximately 4.2 million rupees in medical debt, despite working nearly 70 hours weekly. Anger flared in Nisha's chest. "My financial situation isn't your business." "Could be," he countered smoothly. "If you're interested in my proposition, which is Vikram," set down his cup. "I need a wife." Nisha stared at him. "Excuse me?" "A temporary wife," he clarified. "For appearance's sake. My grandfather, Devin Malhotra, founded this company 60 years ago. He's now 85 and insistent that I settle down before he transfers his controlling shares. Otherwise, they go to my cousin Rahul, who would dismantle everything I've built here, and this concerns me because I'm offering you 15 million rupees to marry me for 1 year." The figure made Nisha lightheaded. It would clear her mother's debts 3 times over. "This is insane," she whispered. "It's business," Vikram corrected. "You need money. I need a convincing partner who won't complicate my life with actual emotional entanglements. A quick thinking last night showed intelligence and adaptability. So I'd be, what, a prop at dinner parties? Essentially, you'd attend family gatherings, business functions, and public events as my wife. We'd maintain appearances of a conventional marriage. After a year, we'd have an amicable, private divorce, and you'd be financially secure." Nisha stood abruptly, pacing to the window. "You're asking me to lie to your family, to everyone." "I'm asking you to play a role," he corrected. "You're clearly good at, given your performance arts background." When she remained silent, he added, "Your mother's next treatment phase begins in 3 weeks. Without it, her prognosis deteriorates significantly." Nisha whirled around. "Don't use my mother to manipulate me. I'm simply acknowledging what's at stake," Vikram said unapologetically. "For both of us." I slid a folder across the coffee table. "These are the terms. The arrangement would begin immediately with a private ceremony, followed by moving into my penthouse. Everything is outlined: your compensation, expected appearances, confidentiality requirements. Take it home, review it." Nisha hesitated before taking the folder. "What about physical aspects of marriage?" Something shifted in his expression. "There aren't any. This is strictly a business arrangement. Separate bedrooms, separate lives, just a unified public image. And when it ends, what happens to me? Receive the agreed sum plus a generous settlement to prevent any financial motivation for exposing our arrangement. You return to your life considerably more comfortable than before?" Nisha thought of her mother's tired eyes, the growing stack of medical bills, the dreams she'd had. To abandon, was a year of pretense worth their future? "I need 24 hours to decide," she said finally. "You have 12, Vikram countered. "My grandfather's birthday celebration is tomorrow evening. I need to introduce you then, if we're proceeding. Divya escorted her out. Nisha clutched the folder containing a contract that could change everything. In the elevator, she caught her reflection in the polished doors, a woman at a crossroads, about to make a decision that felt both impossible and inevitable. That evening, as she sat beside her sleeping mother in the hospital, Nisha read the contract for the 4th time. The terms were clear, the compensation life-changing. But the moral implications weighed heavily. "What's that, Beta?" her mother asked, waking suddenly. Nisha quickly closed the folder. "Nothing, Ma. Just some paperwork for a new teaching position." "You work too hard," Anjali murmured, reaching for her daughter's hand. "I worry about you sacrificing your life for mine." "Don't say that," Nisha whispered fiercely. "You're getting better. We'll manage." Later that night, after her mother had fallen asleep again, Nisha stepped into the corridor and dialed the number Vikram had provided. "I'll do it," she said when he answered. "But I have conditions of my own. Expected nothing less," came his cool reply. "Be at my attorney's office at 8 a.m. We'll finalize everything before the ceremony at noon." As she ended the call, Nisha wondered if she'd just solved their problems or created entirely new ones. Either way, by this time tomorrow, she would be Mrs. Malhotra, wife to a stranger. Bound by contract rather than love. The irony wasn't lost on her. After years of teaching students to express genuine emotion through dance, she was about to embark on the performance of her lifetime. The performance begins. The wedding was a clinical affair. No flowers, no music, just paperwork and platinum rings exchanged in a lawyer's office. Nisha wore a simple cream silk sari, borrowed from her friend Priya, who was the only person who knew the truth. "May kiss the bride," the officiant stated mechanically. Vikram hesitated, then leaned forward and placed the briefest kiss on Nisha's cheek. His cologne was subtle, expensive, and somehow made the hollow ceremony feel even more artificial. "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Malhotra," his attorney said, handing them their marriage certificate. "The documents transferring the first payment have been processed." Nisha's phone buzzed with a banking notification. The first installment had cleared enough to cover her mother's next 3 treatments. "Shall we?" Vikram gestured toward the door where his driver waited. Within hours, Disha found herself in Vikram's penthouse's sprawling, minimalist space of marble, glass, and spectacular views. Modern artwork adorned the walls, each piece likely worth more than she'd earned in years of teaching. "Divya has arranged your wardrobe," Vikram informed her, leading her to what would be her bedroom suite. "Tonight's event begins at 7. My grandfather is punctual to a fault." The massive closet was filled with designer clothing in exactly her size. "How did you? The contract specified appropriate attire would be provided. My stylist selected everything based on your measurements and coloring." "It feels invasive," Nisha murmured, running her fingers over a midnight blue evening gown. "It's thorough," Vikram corrected. "Grandfather scrutinizes details. Our relationship must appear established, natural. And what's our story? How did we meet? When did we fall in love? Foundation Gala, 6 months ago. You were there representing a cultural arts initiative. We've been private about our relationship due to media attention. Keep it simple. The fewer fabrications, the more convincing will be." Nisha nodded, wondering how she would remember all the necessary lies while maintaining her composure in front of Mumbai's elite. That evening, as their car approached the Malhotra family estate in Juhu Beach, Vikram surprised her by taking her hand. "You look tense," he observed. "I'm about to lie to your entire family," she replied. "It doesn't sit right with me." Something resembling understanding flickered across his features. "Think of it as a performance, like you're dancing. You're protecting both your mother and my company. There's honor in that." Before she could respond, they arrived. The sprawling colonial-style mansion was illuminated against the evening sky, with staff directing luxury vehicles through the gates. "Remember," Vikram said quietly as they approached the entrance, "you belong here now." The moment they entered, Nisha felt dozens of curious gazes turned toward them. Vikram's hand moved to the small of her back, guiding her through the crowd with practiced ease. Vikram, you came. A striking woman in her 60s approached, her elegant gray hair swept into a chignon. And who is this? Mother, he said formally. This is Nisha, my wife. Sunita Malhotra's composure faltered for only a moment before her social training reasserted itself. Your ... wife. When did this happen? Recently, Vikram answered smoothly. We wanted privacy. Well, Sunita recovered, taking Nisha's hands in hers. What a surprise. Welcome to the family, my dear. Though I must say, I'm disappointed to have missed my only son's wedding. It was very small, Nisha managed, her throat dry. Just intimate, I see. Sunita's penetrating gaze reminded Nisha of her son's. You've arrived just in time. Father will be making his entrance shortly. As Sunita moved away to greet other guests, Nisha whispered, Your mother seems ... shocked. She adapt, Vikram replied. The one we need to convince is him. He nodded toward the main staircase where an elderly man was making a carefully measured descent, aided by a carved wooden cane. Despite his age, Devin Malhotra carried himself with unmistakable authority. The room quieted as he reached the bottom step. Grandfather Vikram said, approaching with Nisha, Happy birthday. The old man's piercing eyes moved from his grandson to Nisha. Who is this? This is Nisha, my wife. Devin's bushy eyebrows rose. Wife. You marry without telling me, without celebration, without family. We wanted something private, Vikram explained. The patriarch studied Nisha intently. And what do you do, young lady? I teach dance, sir. Baritonitum and contemporary. Artist. Interesting choice, Vikram. Devin tapped his cane thoughtfully. Why do you love my grandson? The direct question caught Nisha off guard. She glanced at Vikram, whose expression remained impassive, then back to the old man awaiting her answer. He's dedicated, she began, cautiously, to his vision, his work. He commits completely to what he believes in. As much at least seemed true from what she'd observed. And beneath his business exterior, there's depth most people don't see. Devin studied her for another long moment, then unexpectedly smiled. Good. Not the usual superficial answer. He turned to Vikram. Bring her to Sunday lunch. We should know our new family member better. As the evening progressed, Nisha found herself separated from Vikram, fielding questions from curious relatives and friends. She maintained their fabricated history, growing more confident with each retelling. Later, she found herself alone on a terrace overlooking the gardens. The performance was exhausting, remembering details, feigning intimacy, pretending to be in love with a man she barely knew. You're doing well, came Vikram's voice as he joined her. Grandfather seemed satisfied. For now, Nisha sighed. But this is just the beginning. You're uncomfortable with the deception. Wouldn't you be? These people are welcoming me as family. Vikram leaned against the balustrade. My family operates on appearances. Truth is secondary to maintaining the right image. You're simply playing by established rules. View. It's realistic, he countered. But your concern for their feelings is ... unexpected. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He checked it, frowning. We need to leave. There's an issue at the office. In the car, Nisha noticed the tension in his jaw. Is everything all right? Synaptic Solutions is attempting a hostile takeover of our renewable battery division, he said tersely. Their CEO, Rohan Kapoor, has been after our technology for years. Can they do that? Not if I can help it. His gaze shifted to her. It means I'll be working late. Don't wait up. When they reached the penthouse, Vikram immediately disappeared into his home office. Nisha found herself alone in the vast apartment, a counterfeit wife and a counterfeit marriage. Yet something about Devin's penetrating questions and Vikram's unexpected comment about her concern for his family lingered in her mind. There were layers to this arrangement and to Vikram himself that she hadn't anticipated. The performance was becoming more complex than either of them had planned. Unexpected developments. 3 months into their arrangement, Nisha had settled into a strange rhythm. Weekdays were spent teaching at her dance studios, now reduced to just 2, since she no longer needed the income from all 3. Evenings and weekends often involved accompanying Vikram to various functions, charity galas, business dinners, and the now regular Sunday lunches with his family. To her surprise, she found herself genuinely enjoying Devin Malhotra's company. The old man was sharp-witted and insightful, the passion for classical arts that connected them despite the decades between them. "You must perform for us sometime," he told her one Sunday afternoon, as they sat in the garden after lunch. "Like to see this talent Vikram speaks of." Nisha glanced at her husband in surprise. He'd mentioned her dancing. Grandfather was a patron of the arts before technology consumed his attention, Vikram explained, catching her look. "I told him you're quite accomplished." "High praise for my grandson," Devin chuckled. "He's usually so economical with compliments." Later, as they drove home, Nisha asked, "Have you actually seen me dance?" "I watched videos online," Vikram admitted. "From your school's performances. You're very talented." The simple acknowledgement warmed her unexpectedly. "Thank you." They rode in comfortable silence until Vikram spoke again. "Would you consider choreographing something for the company's anniversary gala next month? It would be well compensated, of course." "I don't need additional compensation," she reminded him. "Our contract is quite generous. This wouldn't be part of our arrangement. This would be professional, your expertise, properly recognized." Studied his profile, trying to understand this shift. "I'd like that," she said finally. The following weeks brought them into closer proximity than ever before. With Nisha working on the anniversary performance, she spent more time at Malhotra Tech headquarters. She witnessed Vikram in his element, decisive, brilliant, respected by his team despite his demanding standards. She also noticed the toll the ongoing battle with Synaptic Solutions was taking on him. Often, she'd return to the penthouse late in the evening to find him still working, tension evident in the set of his shoulders. One night, she set a cup of chai beside his laptop. "You should rest." He looked up, seemingly surprised by the gesture. "I can't. Rohan Kapoor's latest offer to our shareholders expires tomorrow. Is it likely to succeed? Not if I can secure the Patel Group investment first." He rubbed his eyes. Their CEO, Anika Patel, remains hesitant despite weeks of negotiations. "What's her concern?" "She questions our commitment to ethical manufacturing practices." His frustration was evident. "Her company has pioneered sustainable business models, and she's unconvinced we share those values." Nisha considered this. "Patel Group is supporting the Children's Arts Initiative I volunteer with. Anika attends their events regularly." Vikram's attention sharpened. "You know her?" "Not well, but we've spoken about arts education. She's passionate about providing creative outlets for underprivileged children." "I've been approaching this all wrong," he murmured. "I've been focusing on profit projections when I should have emphasized our community impact." The next morning, Nisha found herself accompanying Vikram to the critical meeting with Anika Patel. To her surprise, he introduced her not as his wife, but as the director of Malhotra Tech's newly established community arts initiative, a program she knew nothing about. "Vikram, what are you doing?" she whispered, when Anika stepped away to take a call. "Trust me," he replied. "Just talk about your passion for arts education and how corporate funding could expand access." When Anika returned, Nisha found herself outlining a vision she'd harbored for years: studios in underserved neighborhoods, scholarships for talented children, performances that bridged cultural divides. It wasn't difficult to sound convincing. These were dreams she'd long held, but never had the resources to pursue. "This is exactly the kind of initiative the Patel Group wants to support," Anika said, visibly impressed. "Vikram, I had no idea. Malhotra Tech was moving in this direction." "It's recent," he replied smoothly. "Nisha has helped us recognize opportunities we've overlooked." By the meeting's end, Anika had verbally committed to the investment with the stipulation that the AGHN, the Community Arts Program, would receive substantial funding. In the car afterward, Nisha turned to Vikram. "You just committed millions to a program that doesn't exist." "Well now," he said simply, "with you leading it. Me. But I'm only your wife for another 9 months. Something flickered in his expression. "The position is separate from our arrangement. You're qualified, passionate, and clearly effective. The funding is secured. Why not make this real?" Nisha felt dizzy with possibility. You'd trust me with this? You just helped save my company from Rohan Kapoor? Trust seems appropriate? 2 weeks later, Malhotra Tech publicly announced its new community arts initiative, with Nisha as its director. The positive press was overwhelming and drew unwanted attention. Vikram Malhotra's mysterious bride transforms tech giant, one headline read. Another speculated about the power couple reshaping Mumbai's corporate landscape. Increased scrutiny made Nisha uneasy, especially when she received an unexpected visitor at her office one afternoon. Mrs. Malhotra, Rohan Kapoor, greeted her with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. I've been hoping to meet the woman who's apparently transformed both Vikram and his company, Mr. Kapoor, she acknowledged cautiously. What can I do for you? Curious about your sudden appearance in Vikram's life? You see, I've known him for years. He's never shown interest in marriage or philanthropy. Then you arrive, and everything changes. People evolve, she replied evenly. Indeed, but sometimes appearances are deceiving. He placed a folder on her desk. Like a marriage certificate filed the day before Devin Malhotra's birthday celebration, in time to secure family approval for keeping company control, Nisha maintained her composure, though her heart raced. My relationship with Vikram isn't your concern. It becomes my concern when it affects business. His smile sharpened.
Yes.
Offering you $5 million to tell the truth about this arrangement. You should leave, Nisha said firmly. Consider it, he pressed. When this inevitably ends, you'll want security. Vikram discards people when they've served their purpose. After he left, Nisha sat trembling. If Rohan exposed their fake marriage, Vikram would lose his grandfather's shares. The company he'd built would be vulnerable. Thousands of employees would face uncertain futures. And the community program would likely be first on the chopping block. When she finally reached Vikram, his voice was tight with controlled anger. He approached you directly? At your office? He knows, Vikram, about the timing of our marriage, he suspects. He doesn't know. He paused. Did he threaten you? Not exactly. He offered money for confirmation. The silence that followed was heavy. I'll handle this, Vikram said finally. In the meantime, don't go anywhere alone. Rohan can be ... persistent. That evening, Vikram returned home earlier than usual. He found Nisha on the balcony, watching the sunset over the city. I've dealt with the Kapoor situation, he said, joining her. Legal has sent a cease and desist regarding his approaches. To you? Will that stop him? Temporarily? Vikram's expression was troubled. I underestimated how far he would go, he said something. ... Nisha hesitated. He said you discard people when they've served their purpose. Vikram's jaw tightened. Rohan and I were friends once, at university. We had different visions for the future. Did you discard him? I chose my path. He chose to see it as betrayal. He met her gaze directly. Is that what you think of me? That you're disposable? The question hung between them, weighted with implications neither had acknowledged. Their arrangement had evolved far beyond the contract they'd signed. Somewhere along the way, professional distance had given way to something neither had anticipated. I don't know what to think anymore, Nisha admitted softly. Vikram stepped closer, his usual composure slipping. I don't want you to fear the end. Of our contract? He said, his voice uncharacteristically uncertain. I want you to consider renegotiating terms. What terms? She asked, her heart suddenly racing. Before he could answer, his phone rang the special tone for his grandfather. Whatever had been about to happen dissolved as he took the call, his expression shifting to alarm. We need to go, he said urgently. Grandfather's had a heart attack, so they rushed to the hospital. Nisha realized how deeply entangled their lives had become, and how much more was at stake than just a business arrangement. Beyond Contractivin, Malhotra's private hospital room was quieter than the bustling corridors outside. The only sounds coming from the steady beep of monitors and the occasional rustle as Sunita adjusted her father-in-law's blankets. The family had been keeping vigil for 3 days, taking shifts beside the patriarch's bed. Nisha entered with fresh tea for Vikram, who hadn't left the hospital since they'd arrived. She found him staring out the window, shoulders rigid with exhaustion and worry. "You need to rest," she murmured, touching his arm gently. "I can't leave him," Vikram replied, his voice rough from lack of sleep. "The doctors say these next 24 hours are critical." Nisha glanced at the elderly man who had welcomed her into his family with unexpected warmth. Despite knowing their marriage was a charade, she felt genuine concern for him. He's strong, like his grandson. Vikram turned to her, something vulnerable in his gaze. "When I was 10, my parents traveled constantly for business. Grandfather was the one who came to my school performances, who taught me to play chess, who showed me the company wasn't just about profit. It was the most personal revelation he'd ever shared with her." Nisha squeezed his hand, and to her surprise, he held on. "Mrs. Malhotra." A nurse appeared at the door. "There's someone asking for you at reception. He says it's urgent." Puzzled, Nisha excused herself. In the lobby, she found Priya looking distressed. "Your mother collapsed this morning," her friend said without preamble. They've admitted her. "I came straight here when I heard you were already at the hospital." Fear gripped Nisha's heart. "What happened?" She was doing better. "The doctors think it might be an infection. Her immune system is still compromised from the treatments." Torn between responsibilities, Nisha raced back to Devan's room. "Vikram, I need to go." "My mother go," he said immediately. "Take the car. I'll call you if anything changes here." As she hurried to the oncology ward, Nisha was struck by the irony. This fake marriage had been arranged to save her mother and Vikram's company. Yet here they were, both facing the potential loss of someone they loved, despite all their careful planning. Hours later, after the doctors had stabilized her mother with antibiotics and assured her the infection had been caught early, Nisha found herself in the hospital chapel. She wasn't particularly religious, but she needed a moment of quiet to process everything. "I thought I might find you here." She turned to find Vikram in the doorway, looking exhausted but less tense than before. "Grandfather's awake," he said, joining her in the pew, "asking for you, actually." Relief washed over her. "And demanding tea instead of hospital food, I imagine." "Precisely." A ghost of a smile crossed his face. "How is your mother responding to treatment?" "They're hopeful." She studied his face in the dim light. "You should have called rather than searching the hospital for me." "I wanted to see you," he admitted quietly. "These past few days, they've clarified things." "What things?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression darkening. "It's Rohan. He's called an emergency board meeting. For tomorrow morning?" "Why? How can he do that?" "He's convinced 3 board members to support him, with the grandfather incapacitated." Vikram's voice hardened. "He's making his move now, when we're vulnerable. What will you do?" "Whatever it takes to protect what my grandfather built." He stood. "I should get back. Will you be all right?" Nisha nodded, watching him go, struck by how instinctively they had supported each other through this crisis, far beyond what any contract required. The next morning found Nisha beside her mother's bed, trying to focus on a book while Anjali slept. A text from Vikram told her the board meeting was underway. She couldn't help worrying about what was happening there. Her phone rang. Sunita Malhotra. "Nisha dear, where are you?" Vikram's mother sounded anxious. "The board meeting is a disaster. That Kapoor man is showing documents, claiming your marriage is fraudulent. Vikram is trying to refute it, but without grandfather there." Nisha's heart sank. "My mother is ill. I'm at the hospital with her." "Oh, I'm so sorry." Genuine concern colored Sunita's voice. "Is there anything we can do?" The simple offer of family support brought tears to Nisha's eyes. These people had accepted her, cared for her all, based on a lie. "Sunita ji, there's something I need to tell you." "Not now, dear. Vikram needs you at Malhotra Tech immediately. Whatever Rohan is alleging, your presence would counter it." After ensuring her mother would not be alone, Nisha took a taxi to Malhotra headquarters. The executive floor was tense when she arrived, with Divya pacing outside the boardroom. "Thank God you're here," the assistant said. "It's ugly in there." Rohan brought documentation showing your marriage was timed suspiciously, coinciding exactly with Devanji's ultimatum about the shares. "Is it true?" Nisha asked. "What he's saying?" Divya's expression softened. "I've worked with Vikram for 8 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. Whatever brought you together, I don't think it matters anymore. Nisha took a deep breath and entered the boardroom. Inside, Rohan Kapoor stood at the head of the table, presenting a timeline on the large screen. Vikram sat rigidly opposite him, jaw clenched. Board members filled the remaining seats, their expressions ranging from uncomfortable to openly hostile. Clear evidence that this marriage was arranged solely to fulfill Devon Malhotra's conditions for share transfer, Rohan was saying. A convenient transaction that— Excuse me, Nisha interrupted, every eye turning to her. I believe you're discussing my marriage, Rohan recovered quickly. Mrs. Malhotra, how convenient that you've joined us. Perhaps you'd like to explain why you and Vikram married the day before his grandfather's ultimatum expired? I don't owe you an explanation about my personal life, she replied steadily, but I do have something to say to the board. She moved to stand beside Vikram, who looked up at her with an unreadable expression. When Vikram and I met, neither of us was looking for marriage, she began. I was drowning in medical debt from my mother's cancer treatments. He was facing pressure to settle down before his grandfather transferred company shares. A murmur ran through the room. Vikram tensed beside her. Yes, our timing was influenced by circumstances, she continued. Yes, there were practical considerations. But that doesn't make what we've built any less real. She glanced down at Vikram, whose eyes had widened. I came here today from my mother's hospital room because this company matters to the man I love. Because the future, he's building sustainable energy, community arts programs, ethical business practices deserves to be protected. Rohan scoffed. A touching performance from a professional dancer. You offered me 5 million rupees to betray my husband, Nisha countered. I refused because some things can't be bought, Mr. Kapoor. Some commitments transcend contracts. The boardroom door opened suddenly, and everyone turned to see Devon Malhotra enter in a wheelchair, pushed by Sunita. Grandfather Vikram said, Rising quickly, you should be in hospital. Miss the spectacle? I think not. The old man's voice was weaker than usual, but retained its authority. Rohan Kapoor, still trying to take what isn't yours, I see. Devonji, Rohan acknowledged, visibly thrown. We're simply addressing concerns about company leadership. My grandson has tripled our market value in 5 years, Devon stated flatly. He's launched our most innovative technologies. And he's had the wisdom to marry a woman who challenges him to be better. His gaze softened as it moved to Nisha. I may be old, but I'm not blind. I see how you look at each other when you think no one notices. He turned back to the board. My shares transfer to Vikram, effective immediately. Any objections? The meeting adjourned shortly after, with Rohan departing in barely concealed fury. As the boardroom emptied, Nisha found herself alone with Vikram. You shouldn't have come, he said quietly. Your mother needs you. You needed me more, she replied. And everything I said was true. He looked at her with new intensity. Which part? All of it. She took a steadying breath. Our contract has 9 months remaining, but I don't think I can pretend anymore. Not because I want out, but because what I feel isn't pretend. Vikram stepped closer, cupping her face with unexpected gentleness. I've been trying to find the right time, the right words. I don't want our arrangement to end, Nisha. I want it to begin properly this time. No contracts? No terms and conditions? Are you saying ... I'm saying I love you? Not for what you've done for my company or my family, but for who you are, your integrity, your compassion, the way you've changed how I see everything. Tears filled her eyes. I never expected this when I spilled champagne on you. Best accident of my life, he murmured, drawing her closer. 6 months later, they renewed their vows, this time surrounded by family and friends. With Devon watching proudly from the front row and Anjali now in remission, beaming beside him, Nisha's community arts program had expanded to 5 locations. Across Mumbai, while Malhotra, Tech's sustainable energy division, was revolutionizing power storage across India. Their second ceremony was everything their first had not been: joyful, authentic, filled with emotion rather than calculation. As they exchanged vows, surreal ones this time, Nisha reflected on the strange journey that had brought them here. What had begun as a business arrangement, or temporary solution to their separate problems, had evolved into something neither could have anticipated. They had entered a contract of convenience, but created a legacy of love one that would outlast any agreement they could have signed. As Vikram kissed her, sealing their renewed commitment, Nisha knew that some performances become reality when you least expect it. Sometimes the heart rewrites the terms to which the mind agreed, and sometimes the most genuine truths emerge from what begins as pretense.